All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. I'm so excited to be with you, and hope you are off to a good start of the week. So very excited to be with you. What I'm going to be talking about to you today about is what I am going to be talking to you about today is the elections in New Zealand. As I told you way back, I will keep my eyes open on the outcome of the elections. But this is not definitive. It just gives us an idea, at least for now. We still have to wait till November 25th. And I will talk to you in detail about all this. But I'm not going to get into the parliamentary and all that. I'm going to talk about why New Zealanders voted the Labour Party out. This is what I'm gonna get into. So, but before I'll do all this, like I always do, I like to extend my sincere thanks to all the channels, members, supporters, subscribers, you name it. And if this is your first time on this channel here, please make sure to subscribe. I will greatly appreciate. I'm sure by now you know the content you are getting on this channel, and I'm not bragging here. Rarely you will find it elsewhere. Let's just say it straightforward. I don't like to brag, and I don't, but I'm gonna say it straightforward. What you are getting in this channel is unique as far as content. So I appreciate you if you subscribe or become a channel supporters or a member. So speaking of channel supporters of members, I have great news for you. We crossed 100 members, so we are about 104. So that means what? For the members and the subscribers, be on the lookout for a special live stream exclusive for the members and supporters. I'm going to do it this time for Q&As for you. Then later on, I am going to do something special for the members. Then we'll do something else also for the subscribers. So, but let me give some shout out to the new channel supporters and members. So let me start with the supporters. I want to give a shout out to Wendy Tang. Thank you so much for becoming a supporter. I want to also give a shout out to Richard Liu. Thank you so much for becoming a channel supporters. I also want to give a shout out to another supporter by the name Ron Parham. Thank you very much for becoming a channel supporters. Now I'm going to give a shout out to the channel members. I'll start with Casidis. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. And also want to give shout out to Gil Yara. And also want to give shout out to Sam. That's a very unusual screen name. Is Sam CSSSB. So thank you all for becoming a channel members. And as a matter of fact, I do see it right here on the chat box. So I'm going to give it a just glimpse for you guys to see. Yeah, Casidis became a YouTube member. Thank you so much again. Let me also show or share with you all Richard Liu. Here is a member of the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Wendy Tang, here you are. Thank you very much, Wendy. Truly appreciate your kind support. So, and to all of you, once again, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. But also, please, if this is your first time, please make sure to subscribe. I will appreciate it. I see some familiar numbers here, familiar names, not numbers here. So, Hong Tua, good to see you as always. Human Alone, good to see you. Who else I am seeing here before I jump into Jupiter? Good to see you as always. Stay free, good to see you. Hang Tua, as always, thank you for being here. Let me see some other. Alex, Francis Tongo, good to see you. Peekaboo, good to see you. Cam35, good to see you. Vance Cowell, hi to you as well. Eddie C, good to see you. Southside Mike, good to see you. Who else? Douglas Miller, V. Olav Sadotier, I hope I pronounced it correctly. So Alan Mcin, good to see you. All right, guys, let's jump into West. Good to see you as well. And Michael, good to see you. Let's jump into our topic here because, as I said, I was keeping an eye open and I did promise you that I will do live stream for you. So about this. So, well, here's the three significant questions we need to put in perspective. First of all, what is the significance of these elections? Because it does. This is, by the way, holds a meaning if once we get into the analysis of it. Second thing, was this a message loud and clear of the rejection of the Labour Party under Hipkins and his predecessor, the tyrant Jacinda Ardent? Yeah, and I don't shy away from that's how I see her, because she was never qualified. If you only remember the policy she embarked on regarding COVID and all the other stuff, and to me, you call it off. You call a spade, because what she did damaged the people against their will. And by the way, it's not her alone. We have it right here at home. We saw it in Europe. We saw it in our neighbors to the north in Canada with the dictatorship policies that the dictator Trudeau embarked on. So we all know where this is going. But this is the question. Was this a rejection of the Labour Party? The third question is this means no more AUKUS? Because remember, the West, especially the US, was trying to push New Zealand into signing into AUKUS. And the last question we need, not a question basically, yeah, it could be a question. Is New Zealand pivoting to China? For sure. That is a question worth asking, because you cannot assume, once again, all this is happening in a vacuum. My advice to you guys, never ever, when it comes down to geopolitical events, never assume it happens in a vacuum. So here is the picture of the new PM, which, by the way, as of today, does not have that title yet, because they still have to wait. And I'm going to mention briefly about the parliamentary process, because they have to meet for about 6 weeks. Then the ministers will have to be announced. And that's where officially Christopher Luxon will become officially the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So this is his picture here during his victory speech to his audience. And I'm going to share some other pictures with you while we're doing the analysis of it. So basically, to me, it was a message loud and clear, which what we will be expecting for us here in the United States with the presidential. That will be a major defeat that I foresee for the Democrats, because Biden is just leading us to a nightmare, has been leading us to a nightmare. I don't shy away from saying he was never qualified for the position of president of the United States. You have to have, at least for us, and I can't speak for other countries, somebody with level-headed mind, somebody who can be decisive. Biden is not decisive. Biden is doing what he's being told because he couldn't push back against the entities behind the scenes that push him for what we are witnessing now on the global stage. What are we now ready for? Another war in the Middle East? And I can't warn enough. Iran is not Iraq. I repeat this for if any politicians in Washington listening. Iran is not Iraq. We will be in for some major confrontation. But here's the thing for New Zealanders, because to me, again, this spoke loud and clear. They rejected what the Labour Party stood for, because what the Labour Party stood for, pulling New Zealand that is, into the drain, almost similar to what happened in Australia. This is where the big concern that New Zealanders had, and they're like, we're going to wait till the elections. We get rid of that. This is where you wish voters in Germany could learn from this. Voters in England could learn from this. Voters in France, even though France doesn't have the same setup. Canada, for us in the US, I don't foresee the Democrats winning the elections or the upcoming elections. And this is what happened now with New Zealanders voters have delivered a forceful, because this is how it's, you're not going to see this much. And I found the article where it wasn't in Western media, because they don't want to describe it that way, because that's a big blow to what the West, with its push in the Far East, what they're trying to do. Look what they did to Australia. Look what they are doing to Philippines. Look what they have done to Japan and South Korea. And look what they are trying. And when I say they, I'm referring to the US, along with its lapdogs that's going to have to follow in the footsteps of its master. Look what India is doing. And look what even some entities inside Taiwan are advocating for. Even though I've got a word that people in Taiwan, They said, forget about what this party is trying to push us into. We want to maintain the status quo. And this is exactly what New Zealanders have done. They delivered this forceful rejection of the Labour government as a surge in support for the National Party, delivered what some major analysts around the world are calling it a bloodbath. Usually there is that term is used, and I put this in quotes by the way, because it's not my word. Usually you use that term during elections, bloodbath. This is exactly what I expect for our presidential elections. So now it becomes the question, what is the new prime minister soon to be? Officially, the National Party election will be doing for New Zealand. And why did he win? So, and again, I am not just focusing on the parliamentary process and so forth, because we understood, and I'll mention something. What I'm looking at is reading about the geopolitical landscape, not only of that part, but the region as a whole. I won't go as far as saying the whole West. No, because where the concentration or where the concern, at least for me, it's in that part of the world coming next after this Middle East eruptions, which could drag for a while. So the Conservative National Party soundly defeated now the ruling Labour Party's election, which was held just on Saturday, paving the way for Christopher Luxon to replace Chris Hipkins as a prime minister. Well, of course, you give credit where credit is due. I never liked the policies of Hipkins because he was another yes sir, yes ma'am, following in the footsteps of his predecessor, the tyrant Jacinda. So what did you expect? But you give him credit. You know what the credit is due for? Because he conceded the defeat right after the result came in showing the National Party scoring historic gain after even across some of the most reliable of Labour districts in the country. So for him, he took it like a man, and that's how he ought to be. Took it as a man, accepted the defeat, conceded, life moves on, and New Zealanders get what they want. Because this wasn't about him or his party, even though he's going to remain now the leader of the party. But what I see coming, what New Zealanders did, it's loud and clear. We all remember during the meeting of Maniana Mahuta, when she met with Secretary of State Tony Blinken and told him flat out, no, we are not interested in AUKUS. We're not interested in what you are proposing. I was hoping that the Maoris party will have more, and even to the point of Mahuta running for the PM, because she could win. But there were some losses in that. So which means to me, you still see in New Zealand, the Maoris and so they are not moving up as much as they expected. But in these elections, which I will share with you the numbers, it'll give you an idea. And I will provide you the link, guys, for all this. So for you to see. So here's the thing. With 99%, 99% of the vote counted, the National Party has garnered 39% of the vote, with Labour Party only managing to have 27% after getting 50% in the previous elections. 50%. This time they got 27%. So the Green Party, meanwhile, nabbed about 11%, and the small government, Libertarian ACT Party, collected 9%. No. Basically, what all this means, in a simple term, is that now the National Party will forge governing coalition because they will have the seats in the parliament about 61%, the barest possible margin for them to govern in New Zealand, which most likely they will be able to do this. But here is the thing. The victorious Luxon, meanwhile, thanks to the supporters for his speech, and he said, and I quote, it's important to share with you this quote, guys. Where's his picture? Right here. Not that guy. It's this guy here. This is Christopher Luxon. His quote, he said, and I quote, thank you so much, and thank you, New Zealand. You have reached for hope, and you have voted for change, end of quote. He also added, and I quote, I am immensely proud to say that on the numbers tonight, National will be able to lead the next government, end of quote. Well, it behooves us to at least know who is Christopher Luxon. So I'm going to share with you briefly about his background. He's the former CEO of Carrier New Zealand Air. And he ran on the promise to, listen to this carefully, guys, cut taxes, fight crimes, and capitalize on voters' disillusionment with the Labour Party. That is an accurate description. It was disillusionment with the Labour Party after what the former tyrant Jacinda Ardent did to New Zealanders with these COVID policies that are tyrannical. Tyrannical, and I feel comfortable saying the word. She just stepped beyond the boundaries because she is one of the World Economic Forum young leaders per se. So she had to fit the narrative. This is why she was rewarded here in the US. Just FYI for you guys who may not know, she's been given a professorship position at Harvard University. Is she qualified to teach? I mean, let's face it. Nothing against her. And it's not about the degrees and she has to have a PhD. Well, it's like, you hear nowadays on YouTube so many geopolitical analysts. Yeah, it's not about the PhD. It's not about, but it is about the credentials. That's, to me, it's common sense. And that was the reward she got for influencing the policies inside. New Zealanders weren't happy with her at that time. And this is why it was like a delusionment with the Labour Party that now, which to me, it lost momentum, even during Jacinda, during her time, and even after unexpectedly stepping down. Well, she stepped down because she realized the failure. She did not want to be in this position to lose this badly. That is why she stepped down, to save her political career per se, so she can remain, what's the word I'm looking for? Relevant. When in reality, she's not. She wasn't qualified for the position. But again, it's not me deciding on this, it's New Zealanders themselves. So, and of course, as you know, her popularity began to wane before the resignation. And that's due to the policies, the massive tyrannical policies of the COVID, and also the inflation. This is why Christopher Luxon, first order of business, is going to cut taxes. Now, I am looking at one particular aspect, and guys, correct me if I am wrong. Why do you think, and I'm going to ask you first, why do you think Christopher Luxon is pivoting to China? If anybody can type in for me the answer on the chat box, I will greatly appreciate it. So here's the image of the two clowns. I call them clowns. So they were never, I don't know how New Zealanders voted for them, but sometimes you have to go through the process to find out. Same for us, what we found out with our incompetent president. Look towards the end what he's getting into. He doesn't even know what he's doing. So, and let alone being weak. The character is so weak anyway. So let me see. Why do you think? Yeah, I see your point. I see your point, Tyrant. Still trade. David Kwan, you're absolutely correct. The economy. That is the reason why he's pivoting to China. Of course, in the West, they won't want to disclose, but it is confirmed because this vote of New Zealanders, they saw and they're still seeing what's going on in Australia. You only know, if you only know how bad it is in Australia, the government's not going to disclose. In Australia, it's not going to disclose how bad it is. A lot of people are now thinking in Australia, they will love to see another Paul Keaton. They wish for Putin to come back. I had the conversation last time with Robbie. Well, wait, it's kind of the citizen party. Maybe that's what they need to support. Australia needs to. And I intend to reach out to Robbie to have him come over for an interview, because he will have a better understanding of this as well. It's his neighborhood. So maybe that's what the Australians needed. So, and this is what New Zealand wanted to avoid, the same outcome that happened in Australia. This is why it was that hesitation about AUKUS. And I remember way back, I told you, I can't jump to this conclusion yet till I see what the outcome of the elections. And here it is. That means, analyzing this, that means New Zealand is objecting to being a party to AUKUS. Even with that, let's not forget one key element. And the key element is that New Zealand is part of the Five Eyes: Canada, the US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. So for New Zealand, it's going to be playing sort of, it has to be walking on not eggshells, but it has to be aware. So Christopher Luxon thought about the idea of, I better focus on the economy, I better focus on trade, let alone he was a former air carrier in New Zealand. Why am I saying this? Can anybody tell me why? If you think about China, what's coming there? I'm just trying to trigger your mind. I'm trying to, and I'll give you a hint here. He's a former airline carrier. Why is he pivoting to China beside the economy and trade? What else is there? I know it takes a while to for this to show up. The BRI, yes, to a degree. To a degree, there is one key specific thing I'm looking for. And China just developed this thing recently. P60. Oh my gosh, you got it. C919 planes. He's a former airline carrier. Instead, there is the, logistically speaking, China is next door. You place the order over there to ensure that your transportation system is up to date. This is the key. That's what I'm saying. Yes, it's the economy. Yes, it's trade. BRI to a degree, even though there is not a lot involved with it, but also the C919. This is where he is thinking long term. Once you start placing orders right next door, doesn't have to go all the way to the US for Boeing or to Europe for Airbus. Let alone the price, it's far cheaper. No. As a matter of fact, even I just find out before I came here that the China Eastern Airlines had just signed the deal to purchase another 100 C919 aircraft. So I won't be surprised some countries soon will be looking for that purchase. So to me, that is the reason why he's pivoting to China. He's looking for the economic aspect, but also that does not mean, FYI guys, that does not mean he's siding with China. No. New Zealand will never do that. If you are part of the Five Eyes, you still fall under that umbrella, if I may use the term. So it's just thinking pragmatically speaking. You think in terms of the economy, seeing what's going on in Australia, he's like, no, this is what we're going to be doing. I am sure they're going to enter into some agreements, whatever those, and I will be watching till about November 25th when I come back from an overseas trip. I'll be aware of this one, and I'll come back on the air regarding this topic and update you on that one. So here is now how it's going to work for the New Zealand government. So the incumbent government, which is the Labour Party, that is, will continue as of today to operate. Hipkins, still the Prime Minister as of today. But it will not known as that. It will known as the caretaker government while the new government is formed. So the reason the way it works that way, because according to New Zealand parliamentary policies, a caretaker government can continue the normal business of governing and running the country. But here's the key. It cannot, I repeat this, it cannot make any significant decision unless there is an emergency or crisis. What am I referring to here? I am referring to AUKUS. Now, Hipkins, if he wants to do something to the last minute, the law, their policies, the parliamentary policies will not allow him to do so, because that just doesn't work that way. So, however, if there is an emergency or if there is a crisis, the law in the parliamentary, based on the research that I conducted, stated the following, and I quote, "On urgent constitutional, economic, and other significant issues, the caretaker government has to listen to the new incoming government, even if the outgoing government disagrees with the proposed course of action." End of quote. This is the clause in their laws, and this is how it's going to work. So the thing is, for now, the parliament will have to meet within 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks of the official elections, which means it was on the Saturday, 6 weeks. That's why I mentioned November 25th down the road. But there is no date for when the government must form. So that's how, and of course, with the new government, the ministers will be announced and so forth. And I'll provide you a link for all this. What concerns us the most now is to understand what this the upcoming prime minister is going to do for New Zealanders. You all know how politics is. A lot of politicians talk. We all remember what Narendra Modi did 7 years ago. Well, we all remember what's his name, Marcos Jr. did. We all remember the South Korean Yoon was saying all the yap. Same with our incompetent president when he was running, talking. But in action, they found out that they are weak, they are useless, incompetent, they can't do squat. So this is what I'm saying. We're going to have to trade carefully, move cautiously down the road to see how things evolve. Will I see a crisis near New Zealand? You all know what I'm referring to, right? It's like all of a sudden the crisis erupted in the Middle East. Completely. Whoever thought? Let alone we were providing weapons to both sides. And now our incompetent president wants to drag us into a war in the Middle East. We didn't even win the one in Afghanistan, or the previous one in Iraq, or in Vietnam, or in Cambodia. What made him think we're going to win this one in the Middle East, let alone with Iran? And once again, Iran is not Iraq. As one who not only wrote a book about Iran, did the research, I was on the ground in the Middle East. I was near Iran's border. I kind of understood how the dynamics are. So I'm speaking from experience and knowledge. Defeating Iran will be a challenge. There is no way. Anyway. So this is why, to go back to our topic about New Zealand, this is why Luxon pledged to bring down the cost of living. Why is this? Again, he's seeing what's taking place next door in Australia. You all heard. I have some contacts in Australia. We all heard about the housing prices crisis. Not even prices are up. The crisis that's going on. The inflation that's going on in Australia. Australians are struggling. It's no different than in the UK. It's no different than us here to a degree. Still, a lot of people here are okay to a degree because it didn't hit them hard yet. Of course, the lower level in the society, financially speaking, they don't have anything to worry about. They don't have any. It's the middle class. Luxon was thinking in terms of, I'm seeing what's taking place in New Zealand. I don't want my country to experience that. So he's going to bring down the cost of living. And how he's going to do that? You got to cut taxes to a degree. He's going to restore law and order, as well as deliver better healthcare and education. Why is this important? Because those are the fundamentals. You look at the China healthcare system. I did read something about 95% are covered. I'm sorry, 85 or 95. I couldn't remember the exact number. If anybody knows the percentage, please put it on the chat box and make sure it's the reflective, accurate number. Either 85 or 95 of people are insured health-wise in China. So that's why he's mentioning about healthcare and education, because education, you're going to have to keep up with the changes. You look where China is technologically. Look where the West, our students are dumbing down. We are dumbing down. The system is dumbing them down. And this is what I found very also interesting, that Luxon's speech came right after Hipkins conceded that his party, the Labour Party, lost the election. That's how I see it. So it's going to be interesting to see how New Zealand now shifting to the right, which basically ends Labour Party's 6-year term in office. I don't see them coming back anytime soon unless things change. But again, that's up to New Zealanders what they want. So I hope there are some viewers from New Zealand watching this. They're going to have to decide what they want moving forward. Yes, we all remember the tragic of the Christchurch mosque attack, which was horrific. You don't do that under any circumstances for any religion whatsoever. You don't target people for no reason. You have to have justification. This is why our government just call about wars. You have to have justifications for that. And there is in political science something called the just war theory. We can't just do that willy-nilly because we want to or we feel like it. No. So, and this is why I think the Labour Party learned the hard lesson, assuming. This is why I think Jacinda resigned before. She knew what was coming, because defeat like this will look so bad. But even with this, how could we forget? How could we forget those tyrannical policies she embarked on? Same thing in Australia. I remember seeing one image. It was on a video about some family were sitting at the beach. They didn't have masks on. They were surrounded by cops. They're sitting by themselves. And even the police and law enforcement in Australia become like this what's the word? Barbaric in their approach. No different than what Canadians do. And I am sure no different than what we have here. And in Germany and in France. You got the idea. So the way I see it is New Zealand wanted to say, no, we're going to go a different direction altogether. Forget about Ardent era. Put it behind like it never existed. I will hope one day to see the Maoists move up the political ladder. I was hoping, but of course she wasn't running for the prime ministership. Mahuta, would love to see her there, even though her part, the kind of the indigenous, they need to be at the top of the hierarchy. And this is where I see the big shift now. And I still will not, something inside me telling me can be convincing 100%. Because knowing what my country does and how we will try to influence, I am sure soon you're going to hear some visits from the West to Wilmington in New Zealand. I won't be surprised at all. But to me, at least today, this outcome of this election, it revealed the mood of the country, because the country want to change. They don't want Labour Party. Now, will the Germans do the same? Will Canadians do the same? Will the British do the same? Will the US do the same? I don't know. I can't speak for that, because people will have to decide themselves. And to think about the idea of the rising cost of living, and the two key, the post-pandemic and because that altered the livelihood. And by the way, guys, just FYI, that's by design. Nothing is happening in a vacuum. Maybe one day we'll figure out a platform where I will talk about all this openly. So all this is happening for a reason. So this is where the problem. Now, let me talk about how the regional security landscape is going to be impacting how Christopher Luxon is going to have to navigate, really have to tread carefully, because that's a very, very interesting dynamics is going. Remember, New Zealand is part of the Five Eyes. And if you are part two, it's no different than BRICS. It's no different than ASEAN, like we said. And if New Zealand would become the weak link, that means the sharing of intelligence will be diminished or reduced. That means we could even create a conflict and not let New Zealand know about it till it erupts. That's how we will toe them in line. But again, if we are to say in a democracy, which is nothing but an illusion anyway, if we are to say, well, isn't that the will of the people? People spoke. They didn't want the Labour Party out. They want Labour Party out completely. Shouldn't we respect that? If New Zealand wants to pivot to China, should we respect that? And there is a reason why they want to pivot, like you guys mentioned, the trade, the economy, and of course the potential purchase of the C919. I won't be surprised. But also the idea of New Zealanders saying, hey, we've been always under the radar, quiet, laid back. We don't want to be part of AUKUS. We don't want to be part of this sort of nonsense. Yeah, because to some New Zealanders, this is nonsense. Why would you want to encircle China for? What did China do to you? That is why you're still hearing this narrative about especially for China's BRI, the death trap, whatever. It's nothing but a narrative that's been repeated, which is not true. You and I know it's not true. Even our ambassador in China, he's yapping about this death trap stuff, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that just how humiliating. Doesn't realize how the reflection of how stupid he sounds when he talk nonsense, because it's nonsense. No, I was talking to my friend Dashwan recently, and he mentioned to me something about the BRI. He's very familiar with that. Remember the red book that I posted for you guys, and mentioned to me that in Croatia there was a project by through the BRI, and China built some sort of bridge or some major infrastructure, and it was so easy to build. Why? Because China used the same model they used in Hong Kong, and he built it in no time. So, and yet you won't hear much about it in Western media. They won't disclose that kind of stuff. So this is where I see that the government now of the Labour Party, it's gone. Hipkins was never up to the task. He was up to the task in one condition, which to follow orders. No different than his predecessor, Jacinda Ardent. She is a world economic young leader, but also had to toe the line with Washington and follow the orders, and that's exactly what she did. But she realized where after the rejection of the people about her policies, that's why she stepped out. She stepped down or resigned rather. So this is where I see. Now, the one thing that I see moving forward, and it has to do with not hypothetically, but moving forward with the relationship between New Zealand and China. To my knowledge so far, New Zealand is not playing any role in the BRI. Could New Zealand embark unless they just did, and I'm not aware of it? Please, if you know, just mention that one, if you could. Oh, let me remove this one here from the. The screen is still. Yeah, if it did that, that's going to become a different ball game altogether. And I don't see them missing out. I don't see Christopher Luxon missing out on that opportunity. It's because it will become, it's just going to become some sort of, what's the word? Opportunity, economic opportunity. Because remember, what most governments are not disclosing, that if things keep going the way they are, the global economy might be in a recession, on its way to recession. So I won't be surprised. Let me say thank you guys to KL. KL, thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it. So, and once again, just to remind you, we've crossed 100 members. So be on the lookout this weekend, and I will post it for the members and the subscribers about the exclusive Q&A, and I will share the surprise with you guys, with the members and the supporters. So then I'm gonna do something different for the members moving forward, because it's only fair. You all know, guys, how things work. I made the decision now not to go forward with the Patreon. I was about to create an account in Patreon. If you want to support the channel, it didn't make any sense to me to create more work. If you truly want to support the channel, this is your way. Either become a supporter or a member of the channel. It's the same thing as Patreon, without creating another platform, another this. And I'll work this weekend on thinking of some stuff that I'm going to be doing for the members, because it's only fair. So once again, thank you, KL. I truly appreciate it. So just to wrap up all this, also, I did mention Alan Messin. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Truly appreciate you for that. Just to wrap up this here, guys, now we are at least seeing where the direction of New Zealand wants to go. This is only one step among many. So the first step is at least to remove the Labour Party from power. This is exactly what I believe the Germans needs to do, the Philippines needs to do, Japan itself needs to do. Get rid of those puppets, get rid of those weak leaders. You tell me that there are no smart people in those countries? They are. Same for us here. There are some decent people in America that they can, but some of us do not want to step into this leadership position and so forth. It's just because the system is so corrupted. But when you start just voting for whomever, I was never sort of thinking that Biden will be some sort of really up to the task. Given his age, his mental decline, I was just never into thinking, well, he will do well when it comes down to foreign policy. And here it is, after serving 50 years, in almost 40 years, whatever, dealing with foreign policy stuff, you will think he will learn something. But he's still stuck in the mindset of the Cold War. The world has changed, and we need to change with it. Well, the same thing I am seeing here with these elections in New Zealand. New Zealanders seeing the change, and they want to change with it. Get rid of the Labour Party. That's one. And second thing is going to be what type of policies, depending again who's going to be in the government. And I will keep an eye open on this. What type of policies the government of Christopher Luxon is going to embark on. How far, as far as trade, they're going to engage with China. To what degree? And it's too early to say this, guys. Just because they defeated the Labour Party doesn't mean they're going to swing 180 degrees. No, doesn't mean that. I've learned, given my years in Washington, D.C. and dealing with the global affairs and so forth, I've learned over the years, over decades, this kind of stuff, it takes time. And you have to be on the lookout for the signals. The one thing that I am certain of, this is why I refrained from making a conclusive conclusion back then about when New Zealand is rejecting the AUKUS. I said, no, I can't conclusively say so till I see the first thing, which will be the upcoming elections. And here we are. But still with this, I still have to hold my judgment till I see what's going to take place in November 25th, when the government is formed, I'll take a look at the members of that government, take a look at their policies. This is what I do, guys. This is where I spend my time. I have to look into the information, evaluate it, research it, understand about the individuals serving in those key positions. And based on that, I can draw my own conclusions as a geopolitical analyst with experience in this field to allow me conclusively say, I do see New Zealand go in this direction or that direction. The one thing that I can say conclusively now about, let's say as an example, UK is going down further. What the government in UK, in London, is not disclosing is the massive inflation, how it's impacting the livelihood of the people. And Sunak is not up to the task, because Sunak the Prime Minister of UK, has to serve an agenda given to him by his master or masters. The same arguments can be made about Canada. Dictator T, it's the embarking on the same. As a matter of fact, I just found out 3 days ago, and I intend to confirm this because it's not confirmed yet. There's some sort of an investigation going on about some involvement, the Prime Minister involvement in some corruption scandal behind the scenes or something into that effect. So there will be an investigation. But Canadians, they have to decide now, do they want to live under that kind of tyrannical policies? It's no different than what Jacinda did in New Zealand. It's exactly what Trudeau is doing in Canada. They want to shut down the social media platforms, so Canadians will only going to hear the information from one source based on what the government wants them to know. This is exactly what's going on in Australia. And this is why I am kind of keeping a step back to evaluate the scene, the political scene that is. Then by the time November 25th comes in, when I come back from my overseas trip, because I will have some conclusive evidence, then I will share that with you guys, and we'll just go from there. All right, I'm going to take a question or two, guys, but remember, be on the lookout this weekend. I'm going to work out one day on it. I will post it for you. I'm going to do an exclusive Q&A for the channel members and supporters, in addition to sharing my surprise with them. So be on the lookout. And if you want to support this channel, it is your opportunity. I am so grateful to all of you, members or not. But at the same time, like I always say, and I don't brag, the type of information that I share with you is not something you can find on a TV or listen or hear about in an average conversation and so forth. Even within YouTube itself, you have to know where to look for that information. My information is based on over 30 years of experience. I'm a former military. I am a geopolitical analyst. I am a former international security analyst. I am an author. I am a speaker. I usually don't like to brag much about all this, but I have to let you know what type of information you are getting, what type of product you are getting. And if it's worth your support, you say to yourself, what is whatever $5, $10 support for this channel? I can't get into that. It's your decision, not mine. And I still will love to have you here in either way. But it's just to let you know, I spend a lot of time doing the research for you guys to get this kind of information. And like I said, and I repeat it, I gave up a full-time teaching position to just do this. So your support is greatly appreciated. All right, let me see a question or two. And by the way, remember to join me tonight with the conversation with Dr. Stewart. We'll be getting into some heavy topics about health issues and so forth you need to learn about. Oh, TNT. Thank you, TNT. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. TNT, by the way, guys, has been supporting this channel way back. I remember the name from way back when we just started with the other channel, and same with this one here. So thank you so much, TNT, for your continued support. Istiaq, good to see you as well. Good to see you. You said unable to publish comments on YouTube platform, experiencing a problem. any of my posted comments vanish immediately after publication on any chosen channel, leaving no trace. Anyone can help. Wow. Can anybody help with this technical? Is there a technical issue? I do notice in the channel that the subscriptions being suppressed somehow. I can't conclusively say so, but I am noticing. I had some of you guys informed me that they've been unsubscribed when they didn't do it. So I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. And this algorithm, there's nothing I can do about it. So love you, sir, from Nepal. Thank you. So by the way, I had a visit. I visited Kathmandu. I enjoyed that. I used to know a person from Nepal, wonderful person. So I was here in the US, and the Nepalese. Maybe one day I need to do a video about Nepal. We don't hear much about it. So I need to do that. So thank you for being here. Okay, I'm looking, guys, to see if there is oh, here is Bone. Here is Bone, my man. Bone, thank you so much for your continued support. Bone again has been with us literally since the beginning. I remember Bone from way back. And Bone is also a member on a Discord, which I communicate with him through Discord. So thank you so much, Bone, for being here. You said congratulations. Happy to see we are 100 now. We crossed 100 thanks to those last 5 members, but thanks to all of you. So please, please, please make sure to join me on this weekend sometime. I'm going to post it for you, because I don't want to do the Q&A exclusive for 5 members, 10 members. I mean, I'll do it because I gave you my word. I keep my word. If I say I'll do something, I will do it no matter what. If I say I won't, then I won't no matter what. So for this, I'm going to do it. So thank you so much, Bon. I look forward to seeing you with some of your questions. So if you guys want to prepare your questions, it's your decision for that. So. Oh, Hamad Sidi, thank you. Hamad's been here I've seen so many times, Hamad. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it. And again, because of you guys, otherwise it will be, I will still do this, because to me, that's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a responsibility. That's how I look at it. You acquire some knowledge. You've been given some knowledge throughout the experiences over 30 years and so forth. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Sit on it? For what? If I am to have my PhD degree hang in a wall, which I don't even hang them, what's the point of that if I couldn't share that knowledge with all of you? So this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate you, Hamad. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Army, thank you so much for your kind words. Truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. All right, let me see. Question. Yeah, and sometimes there is that delay, guys, as you all know. Oh, I saw Heidi. Good to see you. Heidi is another channel supporter. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to me. I want you to know how much I appreciate it. Oh, TNT. Let me take your question, TNT, because it shows up right here in front of me. Dr. Dave, set up another contribution platform. YouTube is not reliable. I've tried to send a super chat for the past half hour, and it does not go through. Okay. What do you guys suggest? Because that's weird. If YouTube will block this one, that's not right. I do suspect something. It's not right, because I can tell by the number of subscribers. And this content, I'm not talking about animals playing here. This analysis, people pay serious amount of money. I'll give you just an example. How many of you are familiar with the magazine called Jane? If anybody can give me a thumbs up. Anybody can tell me who's familiar with Jane magazine? Oh, guys, if YouTube charge you taxes, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do that. I'll think of something else. But so yeah, Jane Magazine. Do you know what the subscription for Jane Magazine cost? Jane Magazine, by the way, is a specialized military intelligence publications. It's not for average Joe, average Jane. And Jane Magazine, takes really some analysis from within the governments. Of course, it has to be declassified and really, really up to the top. But back then, I remember when I was going through my graduate program, back then was about $400 a subscription for Jane Magazine. I can only imagine what it is today. I am not a member of this because I'm not gonna afford it, but I do know where to look for information. But their information is top notch. It's top notch. So, and this is what I'm saying. Your support means a lot. Eddie, here's Eddie. Eddie, thank you so much, man. Love today's subject being a Kiwi. It is a New Zealanders. Now tell us, Eddie, please, just in one word there. Tell us, is this what New Zealanders want? They don't want this AUKUS nonsense. They don't want tensions with China. They want to live in peace and prosper economically. Is this across the board? So thank you so much, Eddie. Truly appreciate your super sticker. So, and this is what I'm saying, guys, is the idea of, I'm going to think of way to figure out if there is another mechanism by which to, but for you to be paying taxes on what you're doing, no, that's kind of, no. Oh, thank you, Eddie. So the answer is yes. So here we are, guys. Here is Eddie in New Zealand, reflecting of exactly what just took place in New Zealand. This is why I'm saying we're going to have now to really assess. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to even change the title of the live stream, because to me, it was now a rejection of Western mindset. That's what New Zealanders want. They want to be left alone, as always been. How often do you hear about New Zealand? Not a lot. Not a lot. So I'm hoping Christopher Luxon will move his country forward. Being an airline CEO, you understand what a customer service is all about. Well, now he's in a different position and he has to think about the customer service for his citizens, their welfare, their economic prosperity, their health welfare, their education system, and so forth. To me, that's what a great leader does. You don't want to kiss up just to whomever. I look at, and again, I don't shy away from saying it. I look at the Prime Minister Modi. I look at the South Korean president, the Prime Minister of Japan, Kishida, Olaf Scholz, Prime Minister Sunak of England, Justin Trudeau, even our own president. No, you can't. You can't do that. When you are in a leadership position, you are in possession of responsibility. You have to put the welfare of your people first before you. Who gives a damn about your political career and your legacy? Who cares for that? You care for the welfare of your people. That's, to me, what a good leader does. And be fair to everybody. When I say everybody, all ethnicities, all religions, all political orientations. You live by what that country's values are all about. You don't impose your will on others. To me, that's what a great leader does. It's not about the status and photo ops, and what we are seeing with those Western leaders, and including some in Asia. So it's pathetic. Oh, yeah, I might consider doing that, Phil. Maybe create a t-shirt says truth matters. How about if I do that? Maybe, why not? So, and I will you do a donation for $5, $10, 50, whatever. So that's a good idea. It's a good idea. So, all right, guys, I don't see any question here. I'm going to sign off because I have to go work on some other stuff for the week. It's Monday. So I am from now till about Friday non-stop because I have to keep up with all this. So once again, I appreciate you being here. Please be on the lookout for this weekend for the exclusive Q&A for the channel members and supporters. Prepare your questions, and I'm going to share a surprise with you. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time. Bye-bye.